There's been some talk, I understand, in the social media about how after elections we're going to clamp down and go back down to phase 1, we'll lock down again. And indeed, at this point in time, we continue to keep a close watch on the community, but we don't have actively plans to say that immediately after the elections we're going to quickly go back into phase 1. That's not the case. But we are working on our contingencies. We are mindful that we may see clusters emerging in various places. We do not want to be complacent, and as a result, we are working on our responses should any of these scenarios bear fruit. So it's always important for us to be prepared for the worst, to be happy if that doesn't occur, to be prepared for these contingencies, but we don't want to overreact. At this point in time, we continue to allow for a safe resumption of services in the community, but that requires all of us in the community to do our part, to maintain our discipline, to actively practice safe distancing measures, to protect each and every one of us.
Can I just add one very quick point that, we certainly cannot rule out having to impose additional restrictions or even to have to, put in place another nationwide circuit breaker down the road. No one can rule out that possibility. Countries that have exited from their lockdowns have had to reimpose lockdowns. You've seen this experience elsewhere too. But we will try very hard not to have to go down that path, and we are able to do so because we now have an expanded toolkit of control measures. And that's what we've been building up over these past few months, right? An expanded toolkit that includes expanded testing capacity and the ability to take more targeted as well as swifter, faster actions, so that, as we've described, this way of going about our management of the infection, whenever we see a case, we quickly go in, we cast a wider net around that area, and we might very well have to do extensive sweeps or swab testing around that area. We might have to do an extensive quarantine around that area of the people who have been in contact, or we might even have to do a localized restriction measure for that particular area if there is a cluster in that area. So these are an expanded range of toolkits that we now have in place because we have built up the capacity over the past few months in terms of contact tracing, in terms of testing, in terms of the new operations that we are doing now. And hopefully with all of these measures, we can control the infection effectively without having to impose another nationwide circuit breaker.